Hey everyone, welcome back to another video of Jesse's Lane. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about some gig work opportunities. Most of all of you have heard of DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, and Grubhub. I'm going to show you how to make a little bit more money for your New Year's resolution. I'm sure a lot of you made a New Year's resolution, at least of making a little bit more money this year. So let's see what you think about this. See if it's something right that you'd like to do. Something I really like, easy, very flexible, perfect part-time job for everybody. All you need is a car and a phone, and those are the only two things that you need. Very, very simple to use. Love all platforms, especially these four that I'm going to talk about. So with that, let's just get started. So the first thing that you may want to know about gig work is you need to download an app that tracks your mileage. So for me, what I like to use is Stride. You just download it over your, whether you got an iPhone, you just download it from your Apple Store. That's what I have. Some people that do gig work, they have two phones. They like to use an Apple product plus an Android phone. So I hear that works really good. Sometimes iPhones will mess up, and then other times, Androids will actually work. So, and a lot of times, people will dash with each other, husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Get twice as many opportunities. Maybe simple things that you can do to increase your opportunities, increase your earnings, all that kind of stuff. But it's a side note. So let's just get started. There's some other ones that are on here too. So like Mile IQ is another app that I wrote down here. Everlance, Everlance, that's correct. And then TripLog as well. Those were just some ones that I've heard about. Heard great things about all of them. But Stride, for me, it's free and really, really easy to use. Plus, you can also put in your earnings for what you made for the day, what you made for the week, whatever you want to do. So it works really good. It also just goes ahead, tells you exactly what your write-offs are going to be, kind of what you're going to owe for taxes, for the end of the year. But it's really important. That's like one of the most important things. It's what the first thing I started out with, because tracking your miles is everything. You have to deduct. Otherwise, you're going to be left with a huge tax bill at the end of the year. And you're going to be like, what in the world? So it's very important to do. But yeah, so 56 cents a mile is what the 2021 miles you're able to write off. But some people do write like everything that went wrong with their car, or put gas in. You can do it both ways. For me, it's just simpler. Just writing off the full 56 cents a mile. It's gonna be kind of hard to beat that. And these miles change every year. So next year, this year now could be up a little bit higher than last year, or it could be even lower. So it does change a little bit, but for the most part, you're going to be good just writing off your 56 cents a mile. If you're not sure, then write it down anyway, and plus still keep your track of your miles. But yeah, everything can be wrote off on that kind of stuff. But that's one of the most important things that you can do. Just getting started right away. And then the next thing that you want to do, you want to get comfortable with your area. So what I would recommend is somewhere close that you're living. If you know a lot of the spots, most people do know where their restaurants are, what good restaurants there are. Kind of even what the restaurants even do. Is there a long wait time typically? All these things just add up over time, especially whenever you're out there for 3-4 hours a night. It just adds up to be a lot of time. Whether you have to wait 15 minutes or not even a wait at all, already made for you, fresh, good to go. All that kind of stuff makes a big difference, especially doing this kind of job. So a lot of times, if you're waiting around all night, you're just not going to make any money, and it's an important thing to know just getting started. So. But yes, knowing your area is very, very important. just getting to know the restaurants, people that work in the restaurants even. There's a lot of times where I'll just go in, people recognize me right away. They go right over, grab the food a lot of times, bring it right over to me. So if you're pretty normal, if you do this 2, 3, 4, even 4 times a week, people just recognize you and they just know what you're doing here. And they just go straight over, grab it. It doesn't take very long. A lot of people, if they see you, 6, 7 times, that's going to be, it's pretty simple to know. Oh, hey, I remember him. He came over from DoorDash or Uber Eats, all those kind of things. They just, they just know you, know your face. It's a good way to build relationships too. Just getting you in and out of there. That's the important part. And that's what you want. I'm always polite to them. They're always polite to me back. All those kind of things. So also another tip. So like on DoorDash, for instance, they give a lot of peak pay. I know Uber Eats does this as well. Grubhub will quite a bit. Postmates has random ones here and there, not quite as much. Even though Uber Eats and Postmates are kind of together, they're on the same app now since Uber bought them out. But this is all they all run some kind of higher pay, and it's typically in different areas. So I don't follow those. Sometimes they'll give like a $3 peak pay, which means for every delivery you do, you're going to make $3 more, which sounds great. But you got to remember that there's a lot of new people out on all these new platforms, and they chase this kind of stuff. So now all of a sudden you're getting to an area, that you're not familiar with. And you're just kind of stranded out there, and all of a sudden, you've got all these, new dashers in your area. They don't really know exactly where they're going, what they're doing, what the restaurants are, kind of with their wait times, all that kind of stuff. It just makes a huge difference. And just because an Applebee's in your area is good doesn't mean that Applebee's over in wherever the next area is you went to is great as well. So it's always different, and you got to know which orders to take. Being picky it's huge. I can't stress that enough. Just being picky and just knowing what you're doing, where the restaurants are, all that kind of stuff will save you a lot of time and money. So I don't follow peak pay at all, and I don't recommend following peak pay. Once you get started on these things and platforms, it's just not worth it over time. So, but yeah, if you know your area as well, you'll have returning customers. So that's another big thing. So if you accept people that pay you higher, that will pay higher on tips. Now you're gonna, DoorDash especially is one that you'll get over and over and over and over. Uber as well. Grubhub's a little bit newer for me, so I don't know exactly as much. Plus there's just a little bit less people that order Grubhub. It's just all a little bit different. But DoorDash especially will send you those same customers typically almost every other time that you are delivering with them. So you're going to get good tips. You're going to get polite customers typically. Because if they give you 5-star reviews, which a lot of people do, as long as you're polite and you let them know if you're going to be late, if you're waiting for their food, kind of what they're just update them on whatever it is. So say, hey, they just told me 5 minutes, text them, boom, and then they respect that. And then you tell them, at the end, have a great night. Some people wanted hand to them, a lot of people wanted left on the door. Tell them you have a great night, and thanks for using DoorDash or Uber, whatever. So those are just, that's why it's very, very important to stay in the same area. I found that really helpful. I don't go out to another area just because it's not worth it. Some people I know they can jump around here or there, especially in bigger cities. Here in Kansas City, it's not so big, so I never found a really big advantage, even though I only did it a couple times. But again, I just I stay with the same area. Especially with staffing shortages, it's just so much worse because a lot of times you won't even see people up there at front of the room, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, some people will just come out with the order that maybe they only had one, but typically they'll just come up right to me and hand me a food, and I'm like, oh wow, so take off then, and it's just important. I can't stress that enough. It really helps in the long term, especially if you're just doing it part time. Full time is probably a little bit different story, but just doing it part time, this is kind of what I've figured out. Just helps a lot. So, another thing, I've kind of already mentioned this: decline. I can't tell you how many times I hit the decline button. So, like on DoorDash, for instance, my acceptance rating, it's below 4%, almost always. I think right now it's like at 2% because Uber and Grubhub really were having some great nights the last several times that I've done it. So yeah, DoorDash for me, my acceptance rate is probably below 4%, 90% of the time. It just rarely goes. Sometimes, they will have some peak pays that are pretty good, and all these orders are very, pretty good. So, but yes, decline, like sometimes they'll send you like $2.50 orders. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. So if you go to the restaurant, wait 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, you got to drive, just say 2 miles. Well, you've already wasted 20 minutes on an order that you got $2.50 for. So just doesn't make any sense. So decline those small orders. And what I always, just rule of thumb, anything less than $1.50 per mile. So like if you got a $3 order, it needs to be, I don't even do this. I have a minimum that I set. $7 is my minimum. If I'm not getting $7 out of one order, I'm not taking it. Because just think about it. So $7, if you did 3 of them in an hour, which is roughly what you can do. Are exceptions where you get stacked orders and stuff like that. But that's only $21 an hour. And typically, I typically make about $30 an hour on average. That's just pretty low also. 35 is probably more an average that I usually get. And it's just because I run so many multiple apps and I'm really picky with them. If you sit there 5 minutes just declining, I guarantee you're going to have a big one come to you whenever you're just sitting around. Because just think about it, that $2.50 order is gone. It's gone to some other dasher, some other driver somewhere, and it's gone. So they're busy doing that. So if you're declining all these small orders, you've got a much higher chance of dropping a big one just right in your lap. And it happens a lot. Typically not very long. A lot of times, you just are declining like maybe 5 or 6 in a row. A lot of times more. There are a lot of times where I'll decline, 20 in a row. It happens all the time. And then obviously on DoorDash, they try to pause you and all that stuff, all those games that they play with you. But don't even worry about it. Acceptance rating has nothing to do whether you're going to be able to drive for them or if you get kicked off their platform. I've had 0 before, so the app tracks your last 100 orders given to you. So I declined 100 in a row. It's just because Uber, Postmates and Grubhub are just so much better that night, and that happens a lot. So, getting on different platforms, you just have so many more options. I don't understand how people can stick to one. Just say Uber, for instance. There's so many slow nights on Uber, and then there's so many great nights on Uber. It's crazy. DoorDash, sometimes they'll just send you nothing but small orders all night long. And then all of a sudden, Grubhub, out of the blue, just starts sending you nothing but big orders, stuff that's just fantastic for you. I can't stress how important multi-apping is as well. But again, so $1.50 per mile is minimum, but anything below 7, I decline. I want to talk about a little side note here. So DoorDash, they're known for this. They hide tips. So, for instance, let's just say like you get a $6.50 order, and it's for like 4 miles, for instance. Me typically would just hit the decline button. But you do have to look. So like, let's just say, for instance, it was like a Red Lobster order. And it said, it had 7 items. That's something that, I would probably weigh on, because Red Lobster, typically their bill totals will be a little bit higher. So that's important to keep in mind. Look at the restaurant. Look, obviously, the pay does have something to do with it, even though sometimes it's not always like a $6.50 order. Sometimes it is like a $8 order, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it'll just be, 12 or whatever. I've had some where, like a $7.50 order turned into like a $28 order. It's happened quite a bit. Typically, though, they're several dollars over. That's not always the case. There are some times where you still get hit with that $6.50. It's just a cheap way they are to try to get you to take orders. It's hard to judge. If you got another app that's doing really, really well that night, I don't even mess with it. I just hit the decline button. Boom, boom, boom all night long until they send me one. Where a lot of times, it'll be like $9 or something like that. Like, okay, that's something I can take. But just be patient. It's very, very, very important in this, because you don't want to get, stuck at Chipotle, for instance, in my area is really, really, really bad. Typically run like 30 minutes to 40 minutes late, on their delivery time. So whenever the order's supposed to be ready. So it's just not worth it. There's so many times I've gone in there and they're like, yeah, we're 30 minutes behind, 20 minutes behind, 40 minutes behind. And it's like, gosh. So you just reassign. Don't be scared of that either. That was actually the next one. I just kind of jumped ahead. So don't be scared to reassign any orders. So if you accept an order and, like just say, for instance, it's like $7 for 2 miles. And then all of a sudden the restaurant comes up to you and says, hey, we just started it. It's going to be 20 minutes. It's definitely something that you should probably think about reassigning. Just think about it. You're only getting $7 for minimum of probably 25 to 30 minutes. And that's not worth your time. If you're only making $14 an hour, driving your own car, just wasting your own time. There's other orders out there that will give you easily over $7 in 30 minutes, and with all those apps going. So reassign. We'll have to do tutorials over all this stuff, kind of how to do it. This is definitely just to kind of get your interest in it and see what you think about it, because it's something that really, really, really works for me. But yes, those long waits, they kill your nights, and you just don't make any money. So those are some tips that work great for me. If you have any questions, please leave comments down and below. I know I went just through a whole bunch of information, stuff that probably you have to have a little bit of experience with. I'd be happy to share with anything, with any questions that are asked in comments. Thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna be bringing in a lot more videos, especially about stocks and more gig work. I'm gonna be signing up for a lot more platforms, so I'll be bringing you a lot more content on all this kind of stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.